It's common for sensationalist headlines to circulate online associating NASA's name with general blackout warnings, generating panic about possible failures in the electrical or communication grid. However, it's crucial to clarify that the alert for March 3rd refers strictly to a visual astronomical phenomenon, a total lunar eclipse. This event, which will plunge the Moon into the Earth's shadow, creates a natural blackout in the satellite's brightness, a harmless and magnificent spectacle. The American Space Agency and astronomers around the world encourage preparation not for a catastrophe, but for the unique opportunity to observe the cosmos in motion, weather permitting. The central phenomenon of this day is the combination of a total eclipse with a full moon, an event that will occur in the early morning and promises to paint the sky with dramatic hues. A lunar eclipse happens when the Sun, Earth, and Moon align precisely, causing our planet to block sunlight that would directly hit the lunar surface. Unlike a total blackout, the Moon doesn't disappear completely. It takes on a reddish or coppery hue. This occurs due to Rayleigh scattering, the same physical effect that makes sunsets red, where the Earth's atmosphere filters blue light and refracts red light towards the Moon. This particular eclipse carries the curious nickname Worm Moon, a nomenclature that unites astronomical science with folklore. The term blood moon refers to the crimson color acquired during the totality of the eclipse. The designation Worm Moon has roots in the traditions of indigenous tribes and settlers of North America. March marks the end of winter in the Northern Hemisphere. With rising temperatures and thawing soil, earthworms begin to emerge from the earth, attracting birds and signaling the rebirth of nature and the imminent arrival of spring. For observers in Brazil, the event schedule in the early morning of March 3rd requires some readiness, as the spectacle occurs in the hours before dawn. The process begins with the penumbral phase at 3:44 a.m., when the Moon enters the Earth's lighter shadow, a subtle darkening difficult to notice with the naked eye. The partial eclipse effectively begins at 4:50 a.m., but the highlight, the beginning of totality, when the Moon becomes entirely reddish, is expected at 6:04 a.m. This peak will last less than an hour, ending at 7:03 a.m., at which point the day will have already dawned in many regions, which may hinder the viewing of the final phase depending on the observer's geographical location. Observing a lunar eclipse is one of the most accessible and safe astronomical activities. Unlike solar eclipses, which require special filters to avoid permanent retinal damage, the blood moon can be admired with the naked eye without any risk to vision. Experts recommend, however, seeking locations away from large urban centers to escape light pollution, which intensifies the contrast and colors of the phenomenon. The use of binoculars or simple telescopes can enrich the experience, revealing details of lunar craters bathed in red light, provided the sky is not obscured by clouds. In parallel with celestial events, NASA has a critical operational calendar focused on human exploration, with important dates around March 2026. The agency is working with March 6th as a potential window for the launch or crucial tests of the Artemis II mission. However, the schedule has been subject to adjustments due to complex technical challenges, such as leaks of liquid hydrogen detected in the Space Launch System (SLS) rocket. Hydrogen, being an extremely small molecule, easily escapes through microcracks or poorly sealed connections, requiring rigorous wet tests, fueling tests, at the Kennedy Space Center before any crew is put at risk. The detected technical flaws, such as instability in audio communication and the excessive time it took to close the Orion capsule's hatch, are reasons for postponement, but also for relief, as they prove that safety protocols are working. The NASA administrator emphasizes that identifying these problems on the ground is preferable to facing them in the vacuum of space. With the postponement, the astronauts' quarantine, a vital health protocol to prevent them from bringing diseases into the confined environment of the spacecraft, was adjusted. The Artemis II mission carries the historical weight of being the first human return to the lunar vicinity in over 50 years, which justifies the agency's extreme caution. The Artemis II mission was designed not to land, but to pave the way back to the Moon. The audacious flight plan envisions the Orion capsule, propelled by the European Service Module, carrying 4 astronauts on a free-return trajectory. They will travel approximately 7,500 kilometers beyond the far side of the Moon, reaching the greatest distance from Earth ever achieved by humans. During this approximately 10-day journey, the crew will test vital life support systems, manual navigation, and the resilience of the heat shields, operating in a deep space regime where radiation is more intense and immediate rescue is impossible. The selected crew reflects the new era of space exploration, focused on diversity and international cooperation. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Hammock-Koch, the first woman to participate in a lunar mission, will represent the United States, alongside Jeremy R. Hansen of the Canadian Space Agency. The success of Artemis II is a mandatory prerequisite for Artemis III, which plans to land astronauts on the lunar surface, possibly at the South Pole, where there are reserves of water ice. Thus, both the visual blackout of the eclipse and NASA's launch preparations invite us to look to the sky, whether to admire its natural beauty or to dream of our future among the stars.